You're listening to the Ballet Piano Podcast, lifting the lid on dance accompaniment.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to this episode of the Ballet Piano Podcast. In today's episode, we've got another in conversation for you with a brilliant person who we will introduce in a second. But first, around the boardroom table is Mrs. Hobson.
Oh, hello.
That caught you by shock, didn't it? That was a shock for you.
Mr. Hobson.
Hello, sir.
I'm Matt Gregory, by the way. And our special guest today is Cyrus Gabrysch.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
How are you, Cyrus?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming on. So for our listeners, Cyrus is a ballet pianist like us, but you also play for contemporary as well.
I do.
And silent movies.
And compose.
And Cyrus was in a band.
Were you?
That's true. I didn't know you dug that up on the internet. Oh, dear.
Really dug on you. Well, just while we're starting, can we go right back to the beginning? Tell us how you started playing the piano. How that all happened.
Yeah, I was very unemployed living in Newcastle a good 25 years ago. And there's a friend of mine who was in a band with me. And I used to play keyboards in this band. Right. And he noticed I could improvise a little bit in C minor. And he...
C minor!
Of all the keys.
And he introduced me to a friend of his who was running a contemporary dance course in Newcastle at Dance City.
Right.
And so that's where I got started. He was a Graham teacher, so he, taught me the ropes.
So the real thuddy Graham stuff.
He played percussion. He played great congas.
Oh, wow.
And he just sort of browbeat me into being a Graham accompanist.
But before that, were you playing piano as a child?
A little bit. Yeah, I did grade 4.
Grade 4.
So you've always played piano then?
Since I was about 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I started quite late.
Yeah, I did actually. I was about 12, 11, like first year high school. And so you say about 25 years ago is when you you got noticed and you started playing for contemporary first.
I played for contemporary, and there weren't many people in Newcastle who were playing for class. So and this is where I bumped into my first ballet pianist, who I actually met on Yorkshire Seminar last week. And the infamous David Plumpton.
Oh, Plumpton!
He was the first ballet accompanist I met, and I sat in and I watched his class, and I remember watching my first ballet class, and I was just looking at these people holding this piece of wood, moving their legs around. I had no idea what they were doing.
Cyrus, in 2003,
I had no idea what it was.
The first ballet pianist I sat in and watched was Dave Plumpton at Northern School of Contemporary Dance.
He's taught us all, isn't he? Yeah.
Didn't teach me.
No, that's on me.
That's why you two are really good and we're not. Only joking, David.
No, he was super back then. And I watched him play, and then I started playing for ballet class, but really primitive sort of.
But where for you did the improvisations come from? If you didn't have sort of a typical classical training,
I think it was in the Graham classes, because it's quite free harmonically. So I just got to mess around in C minor, and then I discovered after that I discovered F minor. That was quite a revelation.
C on and F off.
Yeah.
So you literally sort of finding your way.
I had to find my way key by key. Yeah.
On the job.
Yeah. So I've nearly got to A flat.
But contemporary is good for that, though, isn't it? Because that's how I started, and it's groove based. Because I did a lot of training as a jazzer when I was a lot younger, and a lot of it is groove based. So that's how I learned.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, and just
thumping out
like the weird
beat,
sort of time signatures and counts and accents that contemporary and Graham requires for sort of like for what are they called, like when you're leaning forward and the bounces and things like that. It gives you a good grounding, I think, because then playing in phrases of 8 and Pretty Little Ballet Tunes seems like an absolute walk in the park afterwards.
Well, I think this is how I got to London, because the teacher I had in Newcastle, he had good connections with London Contemporary.
Right.
And so he made a call. I said I wanted to go to London, and so he made a call, and he said, "I'm sending this guy down. Can you check him out?" And I went to London Contemporary, and they put me with a teacher, Ronnie Emblem.
Yeah.
Ronnie
who
Emblem.
I think was well known for chewing up pianists, and there was a high turnover, and she put me with him as a little, just to run me through the mill.
Yeah.
And I came out smiling. I thought it was wonderful, all
wicked.
these
Really?
eights, and someone being mildly polite to me. And I don't know, that got me the job, I think, because I just survived, and
Yeah.
So before that, you'd been used to all the irregular phrasing of contemporary, and then obviously eight count phrases feels much easier.
yeah, and then you can't go back, can you? I mean, when someone throws a 5-4 at you, then
Once you've got 8, you can't go back.
You can't go back. No.
Did you only play piano for the contemporary classes, or did you play like percussion or other instrument?
I used to mix it up a bit. Yeah, I used to. If there was some congas in the room, I'd stick them between my knees and try and
Right hand, giving
make
it
something.
right hand bit of rhythm and left hand bass.
So what year was that when you came to London then? remember?
I think maybe 96. Yeah.
Okay.
95,
And started at
96.
London Contemporary.
Yeah.
And then obviously just presumably started a freelance career.
Yeah, it's been freelance ever since.
Mm.
Yeah. I've never signed that employment dotted line.
No,
Yeah.
me either.
You two are very wise.
Yeah.
Well, when you're freelance, for me, it's all I've known.
Yeah.
Well, really, chasing the next paycheck and the next gig and all the rest of it. So
Yeah, you get
I'm
used to it.
you
huh?
get used to it,
Yeah.
yeah. But then the freedom that it brings as well is fab.
It's an
I'm
illusion.
much
The freedom's an illusion.
Well, it can be an illusion, can't it? Because you do end up always saying yes because you never know what might be around the corner. Like what happened in 2020, which was the worst around the corner ever.
That's true.
Hopefully there won't be another one.
Yeah.
It's slightly binding. I think you've said that in the past, Matt, haven't you? Like, you do have the freedom to choose exactly what you want to do, but you will say yes because you don't know what's going to happen in 6 months' time sometimes.
Yeah. But for the past 3 weeks, we were just saying in the lift as well, I've had pretty much all my mornings free because it's been the Easter holidays and there's not a lot going on, so...
I know getting voice notes from you when you're not in a ballet class.
In the gym.
Yeah.
But back to Cyrus.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
How did you get over to the US?
You've really been digging up the
Because you worked over there for a little bit, didn't
That's
you?
a little story, yeah. No, I met someone, I think in 99,
Yeah.
who was American, and I don't know, I'd run out of steam with London. I needed a big change. And so we went and we set up in New York, and I think we lasted about 3 weeks, and then we split up. And
So it was someone that you were going out with?
Yeah, I was going out with
Oh, I
them.
see.
And then I was stranded in New York.
Oh, really?
And I thought, well, now I'm going to stay. Let's see what can
Just
happen.
do a little bit.
And back then, I have to be careful what I say, but back then, the schools were, let's say, a little bit more easygoing. About hiring people and things. So they kept me busy for a while. And
But you played for the Ailey Company and Steps.
No,
and...
I never played for Ailey. No, I played at Steps.
Oh, sugar, my notes.
No,
Wrong. Scrap that. But you played at the open classes and things in New York for a bit.
Yeah, I think well, there's Perry Dance, wasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Steps and Dance, somewhere down on Broadway. It was like a dance works down. I can't remember the name. Was it Dance Space or something? And
Broadway Dance Centre, Steps,
at
Perry
Limon, and
Dance.
Cunningham, the Graham School. Yeah, no, I got around. Yeah, it was good fun. It was really good fun. Yeah, I miss it a lot. And I remember there was something psychologically a lot more liberating about what you could get up to in class. I remember mixing up a lot in ballet classes and contemporary with kind of keyboards and stuff, and bringing all that in before everyone was doing all the loops and stuff. And I had great fun in the classes there. Yeah, it was just hot in the summer.
In the summer particularly,
hot.
Yeah.
I remember leaving the studio at 6 o'clock in the evening in the middle of summer once, and they had these huge fans blasting in the studio, and it was unbearable in the studio.
Loud.
And I just thought, at least at 6 o'clock, I'm gonna get out the door, out the lift, and get a bit of fresh air. And it was hotter outside. I was in tears. I was like, oh, no.
I've been in New York in August and it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that was tough. That one.
Yeah. So you stayed out there for a bit and then came back to London.
Yeah, I did. I was
Back
there
to
for
freelancing in London.
I was there for about 2 years. And,
Okay.
And then came back, and then I don't know where I went after that.
Picked up where you left
Yeah,
off.
I think so. Came to EMB. No, I started at EMB Company. That's
How did
right,
that?
yeah.
How did that happen?
I think maybe Matt Skoog had just left, and then Wayne had taken over. And I mean, that was a real induction into ballet playing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
your first big company class is a
You know, when I met you first time, I was still student and I wanted to be a ballet pianist, and I was observing absolutely everybody. I was like, can I observe? Can I observe?
How did you do it? Sorry. Looking cute.
Please.
I'm so cute.
Yeah, I just, please, can I? I'm very young. Can I observe? Then Cyrus was very kind to let me observe quite a few of his classes, including ballet and then contemporary. And obviously, I observed any other ballet pianist before. And then when I heard him playing, it's so different to anybody I heard.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this person is just genius. It just the sound comes from piano, not the way that I expected. Because obviously I'm classical trained and my improvisation, everything is classical based. It's just always like go against of what I expect. And it was amazing. And then when I heard you playing contemporary, I was like, oh my God, I cannot do this. So I remember saying everybody that, you know, Cyrus is a genius. I don't know how he does it. And also because you're left-handed, aren't you?
How do you know all this?
Because
And your inside leg measurement is.
Because when I was watching him improvising, it looked like to me his left hand is dominating rather than right hand. Because, you know, as a classical trained pianist, it's always the right hand doing the melody and then left hand is doing accompaniment. It wasn't like this when Cyrus plays. And then I just suspected you might be left-handed or something.
And you are?
I am.
Well, I'm left-handed too, but I do a lot of right-handed things.
Yeah.
And I think...
Sorry.
I knew something was coming.
Sorry.
This one. Get out of the gutter, you.
Right, okay, right. I'm back around the table now. Out the gutter, sorry.
You know, because growing up in primary school, like you right-handed pencil sharpeners, the
Yeah.
scissors, I just used my right hand, even though I wrote with my left hand and did everything else with my left hand. But yeah, playing piano, it's right hand is melody and all those things. Interesting.
I mean, I think a lot of the left hand came from the Graham classes, just thumping it out on a really bad piano. And then you're left with this kind of imbalance, you know, in your playing. And
because for the Graham stuff, it can just be whacking it, can't it? I mean, rhythm is more important than melody or harmonic progression and things like that. If you can get a bit of harmony in there and make it interesting, that's good. But it is secondary to the rhythm that is being provided, I think, isn't it?
No, C minor went a long way.
I don't know whether you find as ballet pianists, like my left hand it feels like it's stuck in the claw, you know, striding and playing chords.
Yeah.
And my right hand is much more dexterous, you know. Do you find that? And that's, you know, like built for purpose sort of thing, the longer you do it.
I feel like my left hand needs to go back to school. It needs to go back. It needs to go back and it needs to go back and do 5-finger piano exercises. But it's felt like that for a long time. Unfortunately, it's now stuck.
I feel like that.
Every year it's going to get more clawy or something like that. It'd be like one of those old conductors you've got to prise the baton out of their rigor mortis ridden fingers in the end. How vile. Let's move on.
So, Cyrus, where did the band come from then?
You tell me. I mean, it just
2009. You've got the dates on the internet for Cyrus's gigs in 2009. What was the band called? I've got it written down. How do you pronounce it?
It was called the Zizaniques.
That's the one.
Yeah, even I can't pronounce it.
Zizaniques.
Zizaniques.
I think
It's like a 12-piece band.
Yeah, I think Mark Lamar once described it as some kind of special offer in a pound shop. He sounded like
In a pound shop.
But,
So how is that all set up?
I got when I was in New York, I got really into songwriting, and I wrote some incredibly bad songs, really lugubrious kind of numbers, and I woke up one day and I just thought, this is really dire, you know. I mean, you need to write something with a bit of, you know, a bit of balls, you know.
Yeah.
And I was really into Tom Waits at the time, and I just thought, this is really good fun. I love his music, and I just loved the visual aspect of his music, and And at the time, I was really struggling with my relationship with music because I found it a little bit. I always found music itself really nebulous for me, and I'm trying to find some imagery just to get me through. And I think maybe this is quite a common thing, you know, at accompanists. We need to kind of see what we're playing.
Yeah.
You know, and without that, you start to kind of free fall, you know, with your writing and compositions. And so I found in the songwriting, I needed things to be really visual. I couldn't just talk about sing about some abstract thing. And I just went down that rabbit hole of this sort of Waitian world of writing, and it just was a lot of fun. And then I got a band together, and
Did you set it up?
I set up the band, and I just found some really super people really quickly, and we got out there gigging, and before I knew it, we had a manager, and he was quite well connected, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he got things rolling very quickly for us, and we were doing festivals, and then our big gig was at Latitude a long time ago. It's on the I think the Arts Arena. It was like Friday night.
Wow,
and I think that was kind of the end of the band.
Right,
we went as far as we could go, and then we sort of all started breeding and fell to pieces.
Yeah, well, Latitude's not a bad place to bow out,
it
is
was
it?
good.
That's all right.
That's fun. And but it was exhausting. You know, I could see what the journey was. You know, it was, you know, living out the back of a minivan in sort of knee-deep mud for many years, and I felt, maybe this isn't my calling in life. So
it says on the internet, Cyrus is a misfit in the British music scene. Would that be fair to say?
Misfit in most scenes.
It also says, and I wrote it down,
misfit in
gravel
British
voiced.
society.
It says
Don't go there.
You got so many taglines: gravel voiced, Russian, Polish, singer, pianist.
Is that your Tinder profile?
That's not what I've said.
Done really well.
But do you not think, though, like we can say this because there's 4 pianists sitting around the table now, all of us in some way are slight misfits to music society.
How
in
very
some way.
dare you.
Yeah, how dare you.
But we are slightly. There's something that we don't, and I think a lot of accompanists, certainly class pianists particularly, we don't quite conform to what society expects as a freelance musician. It's like if you go to Vision Express to get your eyes tested and they say, what do you do? I'm a musician.
Yeah.
And they sort of look at you and they go, okay, maybe he plays in a band in a pub, or he's in a West End show, or he's in an orchestra.
Yeah.
So, and they say, oh, what do you play? Piano. Oh, that's amazing. What do you do? I play the piano while people point their feet and bend their legs and jump up and down. That's my job. And it's a weird sort of cross plane where we live and work. But not a lot of people, more people understand it now because of the Ballet Piano podcast. But it is a weird place where we live.
This is nothing to do with Cyrus, but once I was traveling back to London at the passport control, because I'm immigrant, they always question like 5-10 questions. What do you do? And then so I said, well, what's your occupation? So I said, ballet pianist. And then the passer, the custom, he was writing something and he stopped writing, looked at me and said, I've been working this job for 15 years and this was the most interesting job that I have ever heard. So it is very unique, isn't it?
Yeah. I always say I'm a pianist and then I say, oh, I work with ballet dancers. I sort of phrase it that way.
Oh, I don't. I go straight in. I go in for a penny. I go deep with it. I jump in with both feet.
What do you say, Cyrus?
I'm a ballet class accompanist, but there's very much ballet these days. I never say dance accompanist. Yeah,
because that was a
I
big
haven't played
thing.
Contemporary for.
Did you not play contemporary at all much?
No. It's been a long time. Yeah,
and is that because they're sort of using recorded music more for contemporary? Do you think?
I think I turned up at a contemporary class. I covered a contemporary class last year, and I remember the teacher looked at me aghast. Was like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, really?
I'd never used a piano player before.
It's piano,
but I know they probably have musicians in with the percussion and the loops and.
I was gonna say, has piano become a little bit old hat for contemporary now? Because I think when I started in 2003, piano was, I don't know, sort of died out, and obviously the percussion will always be there in live percussion. But then the loopers were coming in, the percussions with the loops, the guitarists with the loopers.
Yeah.
I want to be a looper.
I'd love to be able to. I don't know how to. I've got a loop pedal. I don't know how to use it.
It looks very cool, doesn't it?
It does.
Why don't you try? Joshua's got one. No. Yeah, practice makes perfect.
I'm busy.
Do you have any preference of like playing for contemporary ballet classes?
Definitely ballet.
Why?
I think because of where I started out, in this singular key, and I think in ballet is where I can really explore music and harmony and melody and just the fundamentals, of creating music. Whereas I felt in contemporary, I really got kind of stuck in a loop, with just kind of grooves I'd created. And I found like I wasn't really exploring, the next level of music for me. Whereas in ballet, I found like there's been lots of different paths you can take with it, with the extemporization and improvising that you do. And
that's funny though, because a lot of the classical trained pianists who predominantly specialize in ballet will say the same thing about contemporary.
That frees them up.
Yeah, the freedom. You're not constrained by the 8-count phrases. You're not listening. You're not anything. Well, you're not constrained by 8 counts, but you do still have the structure that you work within. It's not just a random free for all.
I don't think I could play for contemporary. Have you played contemporary, Akiko?
Not really.
I wouldn't know where to start.
I think there's a big fear about sort of people who specialize in ballet.
Yeah,
this contemporary fear, and it goes the other way as well. Like contemporary pianists who will have a fear about playing for a classical ballet class.
Yeah.
And it would be a little bit like, you playing your first ballet class. It wasn't perfect by any stretch, but it was, the more you do it, the more confident and the more understanding that you get from it. It's like what a ballet what a ballet dancer needs for their warm-up class or for their technique class in the morning. You'd learn that about what a contemporary dancer needs. So there's so many similarities. It's just sort of like the paths are just slightly different, but it's still the same. It's just the musicality style of it is slightly different, but it's great to explore and it's great. You should do it.
I mean, I've said on the pod many times, haven't I? When you're sort of thrown into it by accident or on my horror stories. Or sometimes someone will teach a ballet class. It's not classical. It's a bit more modern. It's a bit freer. That's probably as far as I'll go.
When we used to work in the Western Hemisphere together, Akiko came to watch a couple of my contemporary classes.
Yeah. Did I play some? No.
I think I threw you on for one exercise and then you freaked out and walked away from the piano in that awful gym downstairs. For anybody who's ever been to the Western Hemisphere, you're like, oh, this is amazing. Well, it's not amazing. It's just like it's a relatively simple improvisation, but it just happens to fit what's going on in front.
Would you say to play for contemporary, you've got to be like hot at improvising?
The thing is, it's not about melody, is it? Yeah.
No,
it's about feel. I mean, you've said this. It's
colour
feel
and texture. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think with contemporary, I had more of a library of music, of grooves that I would just pull up.
Yeah.
You kind of, they crop up maybe more often than they do in ballet, certain rhythms. Like the triplet rhythms. And you see them coming, and you've got 1 or 2 or 3 different ideas you can play around with. That are really built into your left hand, so you can drive it along. And then you just you just mess around.
All
with
the fun stuff, like the triplet walks in the corner. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2. All that.
But when you don't have anything for some of these very specific contemporary sort of tempos and grooves, then it's really tough to play.
That's like if a teacher will say, oh, we do this one on the Lilac Fairy, thank you. It's like, well, the Lilac Fairy's not in my fingers. Is it, Anita Young?
So, Cyrus.
I love it when we come out of a break.
I know, I always do that, don't
Cyrus.
How did the whole silent movie thing come about then?
Oh,
how did you get into that?
Through John Sweeney.
Right.
Legend.
I was, as always, very, very ignorant to what I was about to get involved with, and that was the silent film scene. And I'd seen John play a few silent films, and first time watching John play is it's a revelation.
You forget it's live, don't you? You forget you're just so into the film because of what he's creating.
It was amazing. And
did he sort of obviously got you into that?
Well, he told me about this opportunity in Italy. So there's a silent film festival in Italy every year called the Pordenone Silent Film Festival, and it's in the silent film world. It's super famous, and they have a program that they run called the Masterclass Aspirants course, and that's for people who are interested in getting in. So you apply, and I maybe John put my name forward and said, gave me a nudge, and I got a chance to do the masterclass program, and that's just a fast track introduction into playing, and you have to do these workshops in front of an audience with some really experienced musicians. And you have clips of film and you have to play, and then they give you ideas and tips on how to survive playing for unseen film. And then at the end of the week, you go in the big theatre and you play a Fazioli, and you play for an unseen film.
For how long?
It's about an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
So you've never seen the film?
No.
Do you get like a synopsis of what's going on beforehand?
Yeah, you have a synopsis,
What
sometimes you see, I mean, these days, because of YouTube, I mean, lots of things make it online, so you can get a heads up if you're playing for a
when
film.
when you're doing something unseen like that, what percentage of you is looking at the film and at your hands? For example, because
90% of my hands.
How much? How much? How much?
90%
on your hands.
It's terrible. It's
what should the percentage be?
It should be about 5% on your fingers or less.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. If you really want to play for the film, you need to watch it.
Yeah. Well, that's going to say, if it's unseen, and presumably you just have to be glued to it.
Yeah. No,
but then you have to. You have to.
This action,
But John must have seen something in you to put you forward for things like that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't think I let him down. I mean, I got offered a spot at the BFI after that.
Yeah, you were the resident there, weren't you? The resident accompanist at the BFI.
There's about 5 or 6 of us, I think, maybe more. And
then when you get that gig, how many per year, let's say?
Not so many these days. Right. I don't know where I am on the the list.
Oh, so they would just call you up like. Yeah. Jenny calls you at EMB.
Exactly. Knocking on the door. And,
did you enjoy it?
I love playing for the silence. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the film. Of course.
Yeah.
I've been put through some. I think 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was probably the most torrid experience I've had playing for a silent film. It was the first experiment with underwater filming.
Right.
They'd been incorporated into a film, if I remember right. So obviously the filmmakers got very, very excited that they could film underwater.
Yeah.
So on it went, hour after hour of underwater filming of pretty much nothing going on. And so literally treading water for hours, and that can be testing. Yeah. And but when you get a great film, and you're in a good place, it's really super. It's really good fun. Yeah.
And did you find the more that you played for film, that your improvisations got better and you tried new things, and then you sort of build up your catalogue of
there's
grooves
definitely
and
a
feels?
there's a bit of a kickback from playing for film. Your style starts to shift in that direction, and because I mean when you look at what's going on in silent film, they start to come together. Ballet and film, because a silent film, extremely similar because it's all mime. You're playing for mime.
Oh yeah.
And also you're looking in the film, either intrinsically in its editing or in the action or what's going on. You're looking at rhythm. You're looking for what is happening.
Yeah.
It can be really simple. If people are marching, then hey, off you go. You march.
Yeah.
If it's trains, you play train music.
Yeah.
You have lots of tropes which sort of you can pull on in the silent film world. And use, and then the in between, you explore whatever you can, and
in the early days when you said you only knew C minor, then F and A flat, how did you learn about harmony?
No, I haven't got to A flat yet.
Oh, sorry. 2 minor keys. How did you learn about harmony then?
I think with jazz. I got involved with a bit of jazz at one point, just like playing with singers, and then it was like this revelation of the cycle of fifths, blew my mind, and then and then I haven't really got much further than that. But
you don't need to get further than a cycle of fifths.
And then did you bring your silent film work into the dance class?
Yeah,
Like with rhythm and texture and harmony as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can start to you start to use the class to explore different textures, and then you can. I find it hard to bring things I discover in class into the silent film. I think that takes a long time because you're under such duress in the film.
Yeah, because that's what John says he does. Obviously, he's a fantastic dance pianist, but he will explore his improvs for the film in class.
You can hear that. When you listen to him play it, it's a visual spectacle in your party in your head, listening and to John play.
We watched him play a film, didn't we?
Yeah, we went
years ago.
A couple of years ago after he came over and did the Unconventional, we went to the Cinema Museum, didn't we? Yeah. I can't remember what the film was. We took Kiko's mum because she was here.
Oh yeah,
it was the most exciting evening.
Yeah,
It's a super place. Yeah,
and I think Colin was on before him.
Mm-hmm. Colin Sell.
Yeah,
he's great. Yeah.
Cyrus, you took me to John's silent film many years ago.
Can you remember what film it was?
It was actually old Japanese film.
Nice.
It was
was it an
black.
Ozu?
Yeah, maybe it was one of those
Ozu.
very old Japanese film, and then it was my first time watching silent film. Like I thought, how is he going to play Japanese film? But it just matched perfectly.
It's a good question. Yeah, I think with the Ozu films, it's that's when I get the most stressed out about how am I going to play for this? How am I going to stay true to my very Western sense of music? And not play something ridiculous.
Just do pentatonic scales for the next hour or something.
I don't think
so. There's a little bit. I kind of try and mix the two together. And just sort of shift in that direction, and somehow it seems to kind of work.
I don't think John played anything like Japanese scale or anything like this. It was just a modern harmony, European. But it suited very well. It was beautiful.
Because Ozu had a really long film career, so he made lots of sound films as well. And I might be wrong, but I think a lot of his soundtracks are very Western. They're quite... They sound quite Hollywood, really, and which is really good. It's not often you have a director who spans the silent and the sound era, where you can reference the kind of music they would have, because they would have had some executive decisions about what kind of music they use for the sound film, and that gives you an idea of what they would have chosen if they could have in the silent era. So like with Hitchcock and with Ozu, you can listen to that, and then use that as a reference for playing for his films. But I don't overthink it with the Ozu. I just it's just what I feel, I just play what I feel. And
have you ever played the same film twice? Is it different?
Yeah, but not close together. I mean, I've never had a run of playing the same film.
Right.
I think some silent film accompanists do. If they've maybe made a score, or if they might go on tour with that film and play that film over and over again. So I don't know what happens there, but revisiting a film, I don't know. I don't remember it going terribly wrong. The problem with playing for a film you do know or you've watched previously is you can start to preempt everything.
And is that good or bad?
I think it's a bad thing in general, because when you're improvising for a film and you're watching, if you're talented enough to watch the film and not look at your hands all the time, then you react accordingly to the action that happens on the screen. So if there's it's really naff example, but if there's an explosion, you'll react as the audience processes that emotionally, and you'll get a synchronicity of the sound and their emotion, and then you get the impact. But if you know the film, you know it's coming, and then you preempt that.
So you're waiting for it, and
and there's not the synchronicity in just in the music and action.
So when you get a silent film, you're not given that much time to prep it. I think John said he can have the option to watch it the night before, and that's it. If he doesn't know it.
I think every situation's different. I mean, you might get a film that's really famous and you could watch it all night long on YouTube. And then you might get something that's obscure they found in the archives, and they'll be like, you can come in, and I mean, in the old days, I think you could go in and watch it on the Steam Deck and at the BFI. But it's like, have you got time to go in and watch this film?
But when you sit down to play for a silent film, what's the first thing you do? What's the first thing you play?
C minor.
I do.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
As pianists,
you can go into a panic mode. If you've got no idea, you'll just hit a chord and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Go from there.
You know,
Yeah.
and if you're relaxed and prepared, then you might process some kind of overture for the beginning of the film. And if you're really on it, you've made up a couple of tunes which you're going to use for the film, and there's a theme for the main character protagonist. Or,
do you have sort of harmonic progressions that you would use for an overture that are sort of stored?
Yeah, I think this is where the ballet starts to really creep in.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a film like that, then you can start to really get into kind of grande allegro mode, and suddenly you just go off all over the place, and it's fine. You know, because you listen to overtures to films, you know, especially older films, you know, they just roam all over the place.
Yeah.
So you can free yourself up. It's a chance at the beginning of the film with the credits just to make a bit of a mess, find your feet, find your fingers, and
then the
get
thing
used
to
to
go,
the
you could
piano
possibly get a little melodic idea, or even just, half a phrase, and you're like, "Oh, that's nice." And then it'll come back later on.
No, you'll
in
forget
some
it completely.
weird,
Unfortunately, it'll just go out of your head, and you're like, "Oh, what I played," you know.
And then the same when you're in a ballet class and the teacher sets the exercise, what are you thinking about? Because for me, I'm thinking about a tune that I think works for that rhythm. Oh, that sounds a bit like that. So I've got, you know, a bank of tunes that I can use. What are improvisers thinking when someone sets a tondu, Chris's go-to example?
It's always a tondu, isn't it? And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4.
You're thinking.
What goes through your head during class?
Lunch, chocolate.
Is it me or my partner getting the kid from nursery?
Yeah.
Can I say? But Cyrus can dance ballet.
Can you?
But I put him under the bus now, because one day I got text message from Cyrus said, "Oh, can you cover this class at, I can't remember, Pineapple Dance World." Sure. I turn up, and there's a guy wearing a dance gear
tutu.
at the bar, not tutu, doing a warm up. Cyrus next to the piano,
It was a wind up, Akiko.
and I was like, I hate having another ballet pianist in my class. And and he's so experienced and he's amazing. And I got instant nervous. And he's at the bar next to the piano. I'm playing.
I was spying on you.
I was so nervous.
It was a setup.
Yes, he set me up. But I saw him dancing. It's very good.
You've never recovered.
So you did ballet for a bit as an adult?
You were a dancer too, no?
Yeah.
I've played for a class that Matt's danced.
I did
want
the
to do
same.
this.
I said,
Matt did exactly the
I
same.
said, Chris, come and cover my class because I want to dance it.
And then right in front of the piano was you.
Yeah, but at least you told him. Cyrus
That's
didn't
true,
tell
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But he's actually very good.
So you understand movement then? Well, yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, I can walk down the street.
He's so dry.
I don't, but you see, I've had this because in a previous job, one of my many, seemingly hundreds of previous jobs, the management was saying, the artistic manager saying, we want the pianists to take a ballet class so they can learn what it's like to do a play. But this was at a vocational school and certainly upper school. I was like, that's not going to do any good, I don't think, because the level that we're accompanying, it's not beginner level. I was like, you're teaching, effectively the next generation of professional dancers here. That's like telling them to go and have 6 months of music lessons to understand music, on the piano. You're not going to pass a preliminary grade or a grade 1 because you've got no grade. It's not going to have the effect that you think it's going to. And I fought really hard against it because I didn't think for that it was going to be a valid thing to do, but maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I've never put on a pair of tights and done a plie.
Yeah.
So maybe I was wrong.
It's very liberating.
Me and my little twink body.
Yeah, no, I miss my leotard. It's but
I think you need to dust it off.
do you want to book me for a class with Raymond and you go and take it and watch him whip you into shape?
I remember you said you liked Renato's class.
That's how I got into it. It was I'd been playing for Renato, and I think he just got a bit frustrated, with my tempos, and he just said, "Why don't you try do a class?" And I did it, and then I really got into it. I really went down that little tunnel of madness. And,
So how long did you do it for?
It was about 10 years, I think.
Wow.
No.
Really? For real?
For real.
He can do all the jumps and things.
Really?
Never has there been
I
this
just
much
want to say
silence.
that, Aki, thanks for bringing this up. Really, thank you so much.
No, but
Aren't you glad you came over to East London now,
I didn't
Cyrus?
see that one coming.
but you doing 10 years of ballet class means you really understand what you're accompanying.
Did it make difference?
It did make a difference to everything that I could do in a class. I found that it gave me some sense of what an appropriate rhythm was and what an appropriate tempo was, but all the more complex exercises at the end, like Grand Allegro, I never managed to do Grand Allegros and things. I found that really too challenging, and I still find that really difficult to play for now. Just to find the tempos and understand it. But I think as you went through, you kind of, I started to grasp a real sort of sense of the gravity of that exercise. And
I mean, the Grand Allegro Waltz, we've had an episode.
We've got an episode coming up about the Grand Allegro Waltz.
And the Grand Allegro Waltz is one of those things that's just, it's a minefield for everything.
Everything's involved, isn't it? It's like the weather, the mood, the what people have had for breakfast. I mean, it's
just the same pedal still holding out. Yeah. Everything's involved with it. It's I find the Grand Allegro possibly the trickiest exercise to play for, because you can't just, if it's a good Grand Allegro exercise, you can't just smash out a go-to waltz because it doesn't fit. You've got to have something. If you're gonna accompany it well, you want something that actually fits the highlights.
Yeah.
And everything in the exercise, and like we said about using the old Feeney trick, one bang, and the little stops and everything. It's I find Grand Allegro tricky.
I feel like they're getting slower and slower as well.
They are. I was just going to say, because EMB, you must notice people are getting tall.
Yeah.
They're getting taller, and that is changing the speeds we have to play as we get into the Allegros. And then there's also certain people coming into class to watch, which means people want to jump a little bit higher at times. And things get just more elongated, in every sense. And that means you have to kind of find a whole new sort of genre of Grand Allegro.
Exactly, because what worked 15 years ago doesn't necessarily, what was a golden go-to 15, 20 years ago isn't that now, because it's too quick. And then you slow it down and it loses all that gravitas and impetus that it used to have.
And I said to these two, sorry.
That's the Hobsons, by the way, for those who aren't watching.
Sorry.
These two in the corner.
Searching for the word. I played a Grand Allegro last week for a teacher, and it was really bright, like old school Grand Allegro. It was just very punchy.
Nice.
Yeah. And not like a Grand Allegro I'm used to.
Well, because if you think of the bog standard I Feel Pretty.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel was a Grand Allegro tempo sort of 30 plus years ago, whereas now it's a medium Allegro tempo, isn't it?
Yeah. And that this particular teacher was forcing the dancers at that tempo.
At gunpoint.
Rather than slowing them down. Which was it was quite nice.
Quite nice.
But that is nice to know, though, that some people will still use that tempo. Not everything will be comfortable.
Yeah.
Especially, if people are lucky enough to get into a company from going to a vocational school or wherever, that Saturday night performances is going to be a damn sight quicker than Tuesday afternoons. Because people want to get home and get the last train. That's Barry Wordsworth. He was a master at that, apparently. So I've heard. Allegedly, yes.
What's next for Cyrus, then?
That's enough. That's fine. You can end on a high with my failed ballet career.
You're sought after.
I'm free on Monday afternoon, Tuesday, all day Thursday.
I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Cyrus, for coming on. We really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yes.